Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Reinhardt, and I'm doing a presentation on Frank Lloyd Wright as part of our Emergence of Modernism section in our Interior Design History class. Most people are familiar with Frank Lloyd Wright's work, but just a little background about him. He is an American architect as well as a writer. He was born on June 8th, 1867 in Wisconsin. Later on in his life, he studied engineering at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and then in early 1887 he realized that engineering was kind of a dull business for him and he wanted to express his creativity more, so he left for Chicago, where he ended up finding work in the Adler and Sullivan architectural firm. He soon became chief assistant to Sullivan after Adler left, and in 1893 he opened his own architectural practice. He later died on April 9th, 1959 in Arizona. Wright's designs had some defining elements to them. Now this is focusing more on his works prior to 1920. He was most well known for being the chief practitioner of the Prairie style, also known as the Prairie School style. He utilized mass-produced materials and equipment that were typically produced for commercial buildings, so they were typically more affordable for people trying to build their homes. Prairie architects is what they called them, and they discarded the elaborate compartmentalization and detailing, so you didn't see any more of that Gothic revival and really crazy ornamentation. Instead, they incorporated bold, plain walls, roomy family living areas like kitchens and living rooms and dining rooms, and they also introduced perimeter heating below broad glazed areas. So just a bit more about the Prairie School style. It really capitalized on comfort, convenience, and spaciousness, and they were economically achieved to where they were affordable for the average person to have them in their residence. Wright alone built about 50 prairie houses from 1900 to 1910. The typical residence designed by Wright in this period had a wide, low roof over continuous window bands that turned around the corners, so you'd have a window band on basically every wall. The interior's main spaces flowed together, which was really where the open concept that we see today was introduced. This work here is the first project done by Wright's new firm after he left Sullivan's firm. It is the W.H. Winslow House. It was designed in 1893 and is located in River Forest, Illinois. The two stories are very easily identifiable as knowing that this is a prairie-style house. The horizontal white band around the house that separates the two stories is a design aspect that you will see repeatedly in prairie school style houses, as well as the low-hanging roof. And also notice that the colors are very neutral, not a whole lot of decoration at all on the exterior. Next is the W.W. Willits House. This one was built in 1902, and it is located in Highland Park, Illinois. The facade is very symmetrical, facing the road. And again, we can see the separation of the two stories, the first story seeming to have a taller ceiling than the second story, but that could merely just be an illusion due to the very low-pitched roof, which are very common in the prairie school styles that Wright designed. Again, your eye is very drawn to the horizontal linear lines around the perimeter wall there, as well as the separation, that trim separating on the exterior, separating the first and second story. This next work here is the Robbie House, built in 1909, located in Chicago, Illinois. With this work, you can really tell it has a very prominent horizontal band of windows, which was one of the distinguishing features of a prairie school style building. Also, what is interesting about this work is there are several levels of horizontal lines, so it's hard to really tell, especially from this photo, where one story starts and one story stops. And but it's all still very horizontal and very linear, following that prairie style design. Also notice the large overhang of the roof, which is a prairie style design aspect, as we know. Frank Lloyd Wright left behind a lot for future designers and architects. He left behind the principles of a new kind of modern architectural design and the open concept in the free-flowing space. He also began to prioritize the comfort of a home over the decoration of a home. Later on in his life, not so much discussed in this PowerPoint, but he was the creator of organic architecture, and this is where the buildings harmonize both with their inhabitants and with their environment, which we have come to find out scientifically that plays a big role in the mental health of residents. Wright left behind lots of written documents as well for future designers. One of his most famous lectures that he left behind was The Art and Craft of the Machine, which was first printed in 1901. Lastly, I would like to leave you with a quote by Frank Lloyd Wright that is inspirational to me as a designer. There should be as many styles of houses as there are kinds of people, and as many differentiations as there are different individuals. A man who has individuality has a right to its expression and his own environment. Lastly are my sources that I used for this presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope it was very educational. Have a great day.